We are joined by attorney Jeff O'Brien for our weekly 3 and Out. 3 stories, usually sports stories, usually about what we can call the 3 significant college football programs in the state. The 2 D1s, you've got your Gophers and you got your Tommies, and also what I will always say is the best D3 program in the state. Even though they lost to Bethel, it's still you can't look at what they've done over the last 60 years and say they're not the best. 3 national titles, so all those MIAC championships, and they've played next week against Monmouth out of Illinois in the D3 playoffs. They didn't have to play in the first round. You know what, Jeff, let's just get that part out of the way. Crown College, Minnesota school, that's the one down by Waconia, right?
No, St. Bonifacius.
Oh, it's in St. Bonifacius.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, but by Waconia. That is the Crown College, though, right?
Yeah, I only know that because back in my college Republican days, there was a Crown College chapter. So
all right. Because I'm saying, whoa, I think we're splitting hairs here. But all right, so tell everyone what happened when Crown, because they won that UMAC that St. Scholastica always would win and get destroyed in. But what happened in their first round game?
So they lost 76-14 to Wheaton.
Wow.
Wheaton is. I remember from the days when St. Thomas was D3. I remember Wheaton. I think we played Wheaton a couple times in the playoffs. They're a perennial D3 playoff school, and yeah, the UMAC. I remember when Scholastica got in the year that I think there was the year that St. Thomas was still in D3. The Johnnies beat St. Scholastica by almost like 100 points, and I think that was the year that the Johnnies stayed home and St. Scholastica actually went to the playoffs,
which is outrageous.
Through all these conferences, getting these at-large bids.
Yeah, ridiculous.
But anyway, so yeah, Crown got the UMAC bid and then is home. So they didn't, but they aren't going to go any further. It'll be Wheaton moving forward. And that was going to be, I think that game is in the same bracket as where St. John's is. Now, the winner wasn't playing St. John's. They go on to, I think, Wartburg, which is another tough school. But the Johnnies and Monmouth, that they're both in that same bracket as where this.
And obviously, the Bethel's in a different bracket. What's Bethel? Bethel gets Co-College, you said?
Co want to play in. I don't call them a play-in game or whatever, first round, whatever. Bethel had a first round bye, so they will play Co next week. Again, Co out of Iowa. Most famous alum being Marv Levy, the Hall of Fame coach of the Buffalo Bills.
The 100-year-old.
Yes.
Marv Levy.
But Co's been there before. So, we talked about this, I think, last week. Bethel, from looking on paper, Bethel has a tougher road in the playoffs than what St. John's does.
Well, none of them are easy. That's for sure.
No.
All right, now let's let's get your Tommies out of the way, and we'll save the mighty Gophers for last. Who the Tommies play, and what happened with them?
So the Tommies had a non-conference game to end their season against North Dakota State, which FCS school. I mean, the GOAT when it comes to FCS.
They're top. They are the number 1 ranked team in that division.
Yes,
for the playoffs.
But I always said this was the Ric Flair game. You have to figure out where your program is at a D1 level, and the best way to do it is play North Dakota State and figure out. Well, they lost 62-7. Couple takeaways. Number one, they scored a touchdown. That's better than what PJ Fleck's Gophers did against Ohio State and Iowa. So progress there. But Glenn Caruso is the type of coach that he'll play a team like this, like last year that was Lindenwood, right? And they got blown out. And then this year they came back on their home field and beat Lindenwood. So I'm not saying next year they're going to come back and beat North Dakota State, but he's the type of coach that wants to play these games so he can see what, where they level up and where they, and where they need to improve, and then comes back and takes another shot at them. So that's why they're playing North Dakota State right now. And I've always said, I think they ultimately want to be in the Missouri Valley Conference. If you can't hold your own with North Dakota State, you're not ready yet. So, a few more years in the Pioneer League. But still, who would have thought 10 years ago you have this D3 team that would end up playing North Dakota State when they were a big deal then?
Yeah, good point. And now the Gophers. The absolutely pathetic Gophers. Teams are supposed to get better. No one gave the Vikings or the Gophers that memo.
Well, apparently that once they became bowl eligible, they're now on a bye for the rest of the year, I guess. Maybe they're.
So how many games could they potentially lose before they go into their ridiculous, silly bowl game?
Well, they got the Wisconsin game yet. I think they have one more game besides that, and then they'll have their. Right now, I think they're headed to Detroit for like the lowest bowl game that there is again. So I don't know really how much of an accomplishment this is when there's 42 bowl games.
Well, it'll be enough to get Fleck a contract extension.
Well, if he beats Wisconsin, yeah, and then wins a meaningless bowl game probably. But I will say this: one interesting stat from this game, they gave up 525 yards of total offense to Northwestern. They gave up 510 yards of offense to Oregon. Well, so they gave up more yards of offense to Northwestern than they did against Oregon.
Oregon hit the brakes a little bit, so there is that. Now, they closed. Saturday is it against 500 yards. Wisconsin at Minnesota, Saturday at 2:30. That's the last game of the season for them, and they will have gone in losing 3 in a row if they were to lose to Wisconsin and 4 or 5. Woohoo!
Very disappointing because I remember when we talked the Monday following the game when they beat Nebraska, when Nebraska was ranked number 25, and we looked at on that schedule and said, they should win about 9 games, right? I mean, they weren't going to win Oregon, but you looked at Wisconsin, Michigan State, Northwestern, and even Iowa at that point looked like they might have a shot. They got blown out by Iowa. They needed overtime to beat Michigan State. They lost to Northwestern. We knew they were going to lose to Oregon. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose to Wisconsin.
Well, they Wisconsin 4-7. They've got the 6-5 record, so they could be 2 games over 500 or 500. You go 500, you should not be in a bowl game.
No.
You know what? He'll celebrate it, and if they win the whatever condiment bowl they're in, or whatever tire bowl, or pick it.
I'm just disappointed that we're not going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, so we could have the ritual sacrifice of the Pop-Tart on the field.
Well, yes, because they're not good enough to go to the Pop-Tart Bowl, right?
No, they aren't Pop-Tart worthy.
How about that? You're not Pop-Tart worthy. Oh well. All right, and that's our 3 and out, and let's give a little bonus thing. Your thought? I was talking to Dave Bialke about this, and John Plume from Sports Illustrated. There's no place for this team to turn. They have to stay committed to the quarterback they have, J.J. McCarthy, because Max Brosmer? If they were to go to Brosmer, what it tells you is they've completely given up on McCarthy. Yeah. And, I mean, this is bad.
Yeah, it was. If I recall right, I saw the stat: 4 yards of offense.
Second half. Yep, 4 yards.
And all I can think of, remember from the movie Major League when Bob Uecker's character, that's all we got: 1 run on 1 hit. No runs on 1. We all got 1 hit, and it's like we all got was 4 yards.
It's incredible.
Really?
It was absolutely incredible. And I mean, there's so many things. The only, as I mentioned, the only good thing in the game was Reichert, the kicker.
It's becoming too frequent that he's the only good thing in the game.
Yes, way too frequent. And I think the Wilfs have a lot of decisions to make when the season's over. They're not going to get rid of O'Connell, but Kwesi, I don't think he's going to be safe because somebody has to take the fall for this. And O'Connell, I think, and I said it earlier, I think his arrogance is why they're in the position they're in. Because he's, coach of the year, quarterback whisperer. He bought into all that, and he should have known this kid was not ready. And coming off a 14-win season, you don't throw somebody in to learn on the job. And it's only a matter of time before players like Justin Jefferson, you could see it in his face, he is just in torment because he knows how good it's been.
Yep.
And there's nothing out there that I know of. Who's out there? Ryan Tannehill, they could bring him in. They really should get a backup, a true backup. And Brosmer, I don't even know why the kid's on the roster. This is not like a situation like what the Niners had.
He's on the roster because he had a good preseason, and if they tried to move him to the practice squad, somebody would have claimed him. That's why he's on the full roster this year. So
yet he should be the third guy then, because he's not Brock Purdy waiting to come in and save the day.
It's bad. And every regime gets basically their one shot at the franchise quarterback, right? And this team, you had coming out of Dante Culpepper, Childress took a flyer on Tavares Jackson. That didn't work. Then it was Christian Ponder. Then it was Teddy Bridgewater. And, it's a hard position to figure out, to scout and draft and have one succeed. Apparently our arch rival to the East has figured it out, because Jordan Love seems to be doing falling just in line with their series of quarterbacks. But the Vikings just can't seem to figure it out.
And by the way, Teddy Bridgewater's still playing. He came in when
I saw him last night.
Yeah,
he
for the Bucks.
He came back from coaching high school football.
Yeah.
And he played for Detroit. Now he's with the Bucks. I mean, he came in garbage time because Baker Mayfield got hurt his left shoulder, and they were already down
Well, he could be playing next week, though, so we'll see. All right, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Attorney Jeff O'Brien with our weekly 3 and Out. Take a quick break. The BS Show will be right back.